Why do you feel like a loser? Most of the times we feel like losers because of our parents or our childhood. We either get bullied in school, or it was our parents who were telling us that we're not good enough because maybe our parents were perfectionists. Both of those factors are outside of you, and unfortunately they have huge impact on who you become. It's very hard to go into yourself and realize these are the scenarios, these are the situations that happened in the past that affected who I am right now. It's important to be aware and recognize those things. It's never your fault when you are not aware of it. The minute you become aware of it and you don't do anything about it, then it is your fault. We're not gonna play the blame game until you realize that this is my issue, and then you decide not to pursue any type of solutions or do anything about it, okay? So you only have until now. The minute you realize this is the problem, you have to start figuring out how to fix it. Starting with the basics is gonna get you to the place where you have a better understanding of what to do next. You don't feel like people respect you, nobody takes you seriously. You can actually change it instantly overnight. It's gonna involve some practice, like everything in life. But let's start with why people don't take you seriously. Most of the time, it's just the cliche answer of you don't respect yourself. Typically, it is very deeply rooted. And the key is very simple. You have to fake it. I used to be not confident and I never believed in myself and my skill set. I remember when I was looking for work, I was trying to interview for a certain position over 6 months and I was not able to land it. I just didn't really feel confident, and also I didn't believe I could do it. And I was also really truthful because a lot of these roles were requiring prior experience in certain things that I didn't have. So essentially, I didn't want to go into an interview and lie about it. And one day, a friend of mine walked into a room and said to me, "Why haven't you gotten a job yet?" And I was like, because I don't know how to do XYZ and I keep failing these interviews. And then she said, you can just fake it. You have to go in and be confident and tell people that you can actually do it without knowing how to do it. And that's when it clicked for me. I didn't think I could do it, or I didn't perhaps believe in myself, and I knew that eventually I'll be able to learn the role, but I didn't know how to present myself in a confident way where people would actually take me seriously and believe in what I say. So I made a promise to myself, even though I didn't think it was gonna work. Obviously, I was qualified enough since I was landing these interviews. The next interview I was gonna go into, I was gonna pretend that I know what to do. I'm super confident, and I was just gonna fake it. So then I got the interview, I went in it, I basically acted like an absolute boss. I was like, I am your person, I'm the perfect person for this role, and these are the reasons why. Obviously, I dressed nice, I acted confident, and what I did was I demanded they took me seriously without even saying it. It was the tone of my voice, it was the way I looked, it was what I was saying. And sure enough, I got the job the next day. After that, I realized this is an absolute cheat code to how to make it in life. You cannot bullshit for too long, okay? You have to figure out a way on how to close the gap. If you say, I am so confident, and people believe in it, and then you start to acting weird because you just haven't built enough confidence in yourself and you haven't proved it to yourself, then what's gonna happen is everybody will realize that you're full of shit. It's like if I go to a job and say, oh, I know how to trade, right? And they're gonna be like, okay, amazing. You start in 2 weeks. If I don't figure out how to trade in the next 2 weeks, then I'm screwed because this is such an obvious skill to perform that unfortunately, maybe you can BS a little bit, not too much. So you do have to take it seriously. You have to do the work. You have to constantly try to tell yourself, program your life, and show yourself little by little that you are capable. In terms of self-respect, how do you respect yourself? Respect typically shows up in boundaries. When you don't respect yourself, people typically take advantage of you or overstep. You don't respect what you have to say or do. So in order to prevent from that, you need to build strong boundaries. What are boundaries? When you feel like you don't want to do something and it's not necessarily part of your everyday life routine, discipline, it's not going to improve your life and it's like unnecessary, then you can tell them no. So I'm not saying like you're being lazy on a couch and let's say you committed to going to the gym 5 times a week, and then this thought is gonna pop up in your head and say, oh my God, I don't feel like going to the gym. And then you're gonna be like, oh, okay, well, I'm not gonna go to the gym today. Incorrect. You have to get up and go to the gym and build self-discipline, okay? Self-respect is also connected to self-discipline. If you constantly flop and you constantly prove yourself that you don't care about your life and you don't care about promises that you've made to yourself, you're gonna get nowhere and your self-image, it's not going to improve. 90% of the times, the people who are doing things you wanna do have no freaking idea what to do. They just faking it. And you're here worrying about it, what people think about you, and are trying to perhaps be truthful like myself, and you're innocent and you're naive. Stop it right now. Look around and see, okay, these people don't respect me, I'm gonna ignore it. Don't even acknowledge it. You're not there to change people's opinions about you. That's their opinion. We live in perception and not reality. Everybody in their heads has their own perception on how they see and how they view the world, as well as how they view people around them. Sometimes we get labeled in the world with things that we might not resonate with, and we might say, oh, actually, this is maybe not who I am. And that's typically what decreases our self-worth or our self-confidence, our respect for ourselves. You should never listen to other people's opinions about yourself. However, you should take constructive criticism in order to be able to grow as a human. If somebody says to you, you're stupid, okay, I might be stupid. Can you tell me how am I stupid? What am I doing wrong in your eyes? If they're not able to provide you with that answer, that means it's not valid, because that's not constructive criticism. We live in a retarded world. And listen, there a lot of things make no freaking sense. So it doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters is what you think of yourself and how you behave and what you say. How do you make people respect you? First of all, you need to pull all their energy back into yourself and stop giving a damn about what they think of you. There's gonna be a huge shift of energy when that truly happens. Secondly, you just have to fake it in the beginning. The more you practice, it's like riding a bike. It's like everything else in life. The better you're gonna get. And then you don't really need. First of all, you need to pull all their energy back into yourself and stop giving a damn about what they think of you. There's gonna be a huge shift of energy when that truly happens. Secondly, you just have to fake it in the beginning. The more you practice, it's like riding a bike. It's like everything else in life. The better you're gonna get. And then you don't really need to do anything else, because it's just going to naturally click. If you tell yourself, I think I'm a valuable person, I think what I think or I do matters, and I want people to respect me, even if you feel like an absolute loser, even if you can't get that job for months, even if nobody loves you, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is just forget all of that, ignore the noise, and just tell yourself, we're gonna try this. That's all you have to do. You're just gonna try to play this game with your brain on how to convince my brain to think differently. People oftentimes don't respect you when they also know too much about you. So I feel like a lot of times this happens in like relationships where we get really close to our friends. Sometimes those people treat strangers better than they treat, the closest to them. And the reason why is because the minute we get really close to each other, we get vulnerable, we expose our insecurities, we start to lose that sort of barrier of looking at them as something that we admire. I'm not saying like we disrespect people the closest to us, but if we have a stranger, most likely because that stranger doesn't know us, doesn't have a perception of us, we're trying to impress that person. We're gonna treat them better in order for them to like us. The minute we already have a relationship with somebody and they know us inside out, There is no game being played. We're open and vulnerable. So typically, we don't really listen to the closest people to us. We don't take their criticism. We don't take their opinions because we already know them, and that bridge is kind of gone. There is no distance between us. This is the reason why they say you usually end up hurting people closest to you. If you feel like an absolute loser in life and you feel like people really don't care about what you have to say, you just have to kind of like disappear and ignore everything, because it's very hard to change people's perception. It's a lot harder to change people's perception than to make a new perception to a person that doesn't know you. That's why a lot of times people run away, they change their environments, because it's sometimes easier to start over. If you have people around you that don't respect you, obviously you shouldn't be hanging out with them. But if it's like a work environment and perhaps your boss is an asshole and it doesn't respect you, you need to really pull back your energy and like do the bare minimum and stop trying to prove yourself. We fall into this abusive cycle. When somebody doesn't respect us, we want to show them how valuable we are. But in reality, if somebody doesn't respect us, you shouldn't be giving them any type of energy. And I know, like, again, at work, it's kind of difficult. Like, if you end up working in a toxic environment, I feel like every environment can be toxic though, because we just like deal with humans. At the end of the day, like, nobody's perfect, and work takes up like 60% of our lives, right? So how are you protecting yourself from toxicity? Like, you're always gonna bring toxicity into your work environment when things are not right at home, or like in different situations, like something's going on. So like, also, I wouldn't necessarily like blame people for like bringing their toxicity into workplaces. However, I wish that everybody would recognize that and be aware enough to seek help and like therapy to not impact people around them. But it is very difficult, and like, life is all about dealing with a bunch of people's bullshit, basically. If you don't feel like people respect you, you do need to start respecting yourself first. If you don't know how to respect yourself first, just lie to your brain. Just be like, I am the person that's worth XYZ, and that's it, period. No questions asked. And don't let yourself spiral and overthink it. Every time your brain is trying to go into a negative place, there is like a bunch of techniques on how to quiet your mind or just ignore it. I used to have a lot of negative thoughts, and every time one would pop up in my brain, I would just say, stop. I need you to shut it. I don't want to hear this BS. Because I knew it's not what's coming from my heart. I knew that my higher self and like who I am inside would never say those types of things to myself or to my friend. That's why I was like, nah, this is not me. So I started to associate myself with a person that's like a lot more caring and doesn't say negative things to myself. It takes a lot of time. Everything takes practice, but you don't have to think about how much time it takes. All you have to do is just catch yourself in a moment and just live in the presence. Like, the point is to live day by day, because you actually are not gonna know if you wake up. I don't want to sound gloomy, but nobody knows how long we're gonna be on this planet. And if you're gonna try to overthink the next month or 10, what if you don't wake up tomorrow? It's best to live your best life in this moment and to live your best life in this one day than actually think about like how much work it's gonna take to get there. So let me know how it goes. You feel like you're losing in life, don't worry, because we all feel the same way.